to the Book Bar. It's Tuesday night. That means we are live. And tonight, Tyler, I'm Justin, by the way. That's Tyler. Tonight, hey, we're reviewing 2021 in a very disorganized fashion. We're going to talk about some of the shows and movies that we liked over the past year and some of these shows and movies or TV shows, that we didn't like over the year. Did that make sense? Not particularly.
Not really, but that's all right. They
Movies,
get the gist.
Shows, like, dislike, right?
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. It all makes perfect sense, Justin.
It all makes perfect sense. So that's what's on tap, but that has a double meaning as always on this channel. Tyler, what are you drinking tonight?
Well,
Anything?
Justin, I'm drinking a frothy glass of beer. So this is just good old fashioned beer. Just says beer on the label. And that's all I wanted. Just discreet, no nonsense, no crazy labels or names. I was like, I'm a man. Just give me a beer, and that's what they gave me.
So you're still drinking Bud Light?
It's a local light. So.
Oh, okay. Local light. That's not bad.
Not bad.
I'm drinking the Local Bells Kalamazoo here, the light-hearted ale. So two-hearted, but it is light-hearted. So it's sort of like the low-cal, low-carb version. It actually is pretty good.
Okay.
And
all right.
I'm trying to, I tend to drink a decent amount at home. And so what I've decided is, since I have gained so much weight over the past year, I'm going to try to take it a little easier at home. Light beers, low carb.
Right.
Try to take it a little easy.
Right. You're not going to cut out beers or limit the amount. You're just like, I'll switch to light beers.
That's stupid.
It's like, Justin, I quit smoking, cigarettes. I'm on to cigars now. So that's, I think it's going to be way better for me in the long run.
Well, it's like saying, I don't want to read any more 1,400 page Brandon Sanderson fantasy novels, but I still like fantasy. Right. So maybe I'll go
1,200 page.
There you go. I was going to say, what's the comedy fantasy series that has like 40 books in it? Is it Terry Pratt? Discworld. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Discworld. I'll just read some 200-page Discworld books, right?
Right. Oh, it looks like
that's
already, we got people talking about movies, and shows. Looks like
Watt Wheel of Time sucked.
And talking about Spider-Man. Spider-Man was amazing. And we do have Templar on a scale of suck to amazing. How do you rate Spider-Man? Justin, go.
I don't know if he's actually referring to Spider-Man or if he's messing with us and he's putting in this movie without a movie. But now here's the thing. I mean, again, we have no nothing on story here. Like, we don't have a list. We don't have nothing. We're just going to talk about shows and movies that come to mind and talk a little bit about what we liked and didn't like from the past year. So we can start in reverse order with Spider-Man without trying to be too spoilery, because some people probably haven't seen it yet.
Right.
But here's the thing. I only saw probably 80% of it.
Why is that, Jeff?
Tyler and I went and saw it after a day of drinking. And so we went to like the 10:30 p.m. show. And I definitely fell asleep an undisclosed and unknown amount of time. A major character died while I was asleep, apparently. I don't remember. I'm trying not to spoil it.
And I have definitely made fun of you on stream before for falling asleep during movies like an old woman. It's just incredible. I also drank all day and was with you the entire time, a beer for beer. Did I fall asleep? No, because I love cinema, Justin, and I would never disgrace it by falling asleep in the theater like a crotchety woman.
After the movie, I was rearing to go. I was ready to thump some more beers like at 12:30 or whatever. We got back to the house.
You had a nice little 2-hour nap.
Ran to your room and passed out.
You did right. Because I could feel myself getting hungover during the movie. It was bad. We drank a lot.
Yeah, that's typically not good. That's not good.
Oh, yeah. Pop said, I watched it twice. What did you think, Pop said? I mean, you saw it twice. I have to imagine you enjoyed it, right? It was good.
Yeah, let's make this more interactive. We want to talk to the chat a little bit.
Yeah, let's dish, folks.
And so I did like Spider-Man. I mean, it seems like everybody. Yeah, I mean, from what I saw, I mean, I like the introduction of all the various characters and all the cameos.
Yep.
Right. But yeah, I don't want to spoil. Spider-Man's just one I don't want to spoil because it really has only been out a couple weeks and people may not have seen it. So,
yep.
But I did like it a lot from what I actually saw.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it's a Spider-Man movie, right? So any kind of you can't really do any kind of critical analysis. I mean, there is in most stuff of that nature. A lot of big loopholes, a lot of big logical jumps that you have to make, a lot of absolute absurd things that they just make up to make the plot move forward. That's just these types of movies. You accept all that. Very fun. Tom Holland is just wonderful as Spider-Man. Just unbelievable charisma in that role. Isn't he great? Yeah, I saw this clip just recently of all the like different people who have played Spider-Man over the years, and of them like being seen by paparazzi and like, oh god, like rolling their eyes or like being.
Tobey Maguire's the worst. He hates the paparazzi,
right? And like that's how all of them do it. And then Tom Holland like gets spotted by paparazzi. He's like, hey, it's like that's just his attitude. And what a perfect one for Spider-Man, who's supposed to be this kind of effervescent, bubbly personality. So it's really great.
Let's give Tom Holland another 10 or 15 years in the spotlight and see if he likes it, so much.
Maybe. We'll see. Did also Tobey Maguire, you mentioned him, not being great with paparazzi. You also know he's a big time gambler. That's part of the reason. So I've heard, through circles of celebrities that I know channels that I'm tapped into, that he would like gamble on set and all the time and like piss a lot of people off because apparently he was pretty good too. So he was like constantly taking people's money and kind of being crappy about it. So I've heard.
Interesting. Did you read that in the National Enquirer? I've heard that they have very trustworthy journalism.
Also, aliens walking around among us, lizard people taking over. So got crazy stuff happening in the world.
Andrew Garfield is
that cat who eats lasagna.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was his first name.
Yeah, I didn't know Garfield ever had a first name either, but apparently it's Andrew. And I don't get the fascination over a lazy orange cat that eats lasagna. I just never understood it.
What do you mean? Cats are living the dream, man. If I could just eat all day, sleep 2/3 of my life, like in sunbeams and stuff like that, and just get petted the other part of that. I mean, come on, sign me up right now.
Well, I get that. I'm saying not like I wouldn't want to be a cat. I'm saying, why do other people like cats?
Right,
because they do what you just said.
Exactly. Well, why are people watching Instagram of a bunch of people living lives that they'll never live, right? Because you're trying to live vicariously through them. Same with having a cat. You're just watching the life that they live, and you're like, God, that lucky son of a
Wouldn't it be nice just to sprawl out in the sunlight?
Oh my God, just licking yourself all day.
Just go lick yourself all day. Yeah,
I already poop in a box. Our toilet's on the fritz, has been for a while, but
that's true. Whenever you guys move, I want that box. But
I know you do. You're gonna have to wait your turn, buddy. I got a lot of people just begging for that.
Andrew Garfield was the best. Okay, I mean, this is the cat's probably out of the bag. Do you see what I did there? Cat's out of the bag.
I don't.
You're not laughing though. You should be laughing. So yes, the cat's out of the bag here. That these particular people may or may not be in the new Spider-Man movie, and I'm telling you, Andrew Garfield's the best. He's the best. I love Tom Holland too. But he's more kind of just finicky and funny. And Tobey Maguire, it's almost like you watch him and you're like, boy, for nostalgic purposes, it's nice to see him again. But sure. I gotta say, I just am like, I don't get the draw with him. It was just because he was the first.
You're right. Well, I think that's why you need to have him. And the nostalgic aspect of it to me is really important for that. But yeah, like being next to Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland, who I think are both far superior, have way better personalities and charisma on screen. Yep. Yeah. He almost seems like a serial killer next to them. Like the way he's acting and talking, like he seems really weird, like some sort of creepy sociopath. So I loved it. I loved his character.
You obviously identified with his character.
Exactly. Yeah, me and Dennis from It's Always Sunny both really loved him.
Let me just say before we move on, thank you, of course, to all of our patrons, all of our Nerd Level 1, 2, and 3 supporters. We love you so much. And, of course, our council member, Templar Pops. We appreciate you guys so much. If you are interested in supporting the channel, you can go. There's a link down in the description below. And
make sure to check out Templar Pops, too. He's always got things, the haps. Check him out on Insta. Got a channel, too. I mean, my goodness, check him out.
Oh, my God. Templar banged Emma Stone?
Templar, you banged Emma Stone. That makes two of us. Holy crap!
Is your wife watching this? That's no good. Wow. She's not gonna like. Or maybe she'll be super impressed, like how Peter was in Family Guy when she found out that Lois slept with Gene Simmons from Kiss, because he was like, "It feels like I did Kiss too." He just feels totally. He's not like jealous at all. He's just super excited about it.
Well, no, when you jump up to that kind of level, right? It's like if I found out that like my wife cheated on me with like Brad Pitt. I'd be like, holy shit, seriously, Brad Pitt? Like, where
That's
at? How did this
amazing.
happen? Like, what, what did you do? Like, I'd want to
God.
know all about it, right? If it was just some Joe Blow down the street, well, that's unacceptable. But I mean, come on, there's levels. So like, yeah, his wife found out that he banged Emma Stone. Like, come on, Emma Watson. It was Emma Watson.
Well, I think
Stone.
it was. I thought he said Stone. Oh, did we say Stone or Watson?
No, Pop said Emma Stone, but Templar is correcting him and said he actually banged Emma Watson, which is, I mean, that is equally as impressive.
Equally impressive. Equally impressive.
Yep. That's something special.
Let's
buddy. You
talk
should really
more
cherish
about
that.
Celebrities and bang. That's going to be
Templar. Who else have you banged?
So again, we're here, 2021. Our favorite shows, our favorite movies, what we liked, what we didn't like. What did you hate? We want to make it more interactive. Put it in the comments, live chat or in the regular comments. Let's start a discussion. What did you love? What did you hate? Tyler, I'm going to start with the Disney Plus shows. Okay, that's where I'm going to start this. Okay. I loved WandaVision. The only thing I didn't like about WandaVision was the ending. I wasn't super pumped about the ending. So like I would give that show like a 9.5 out of 10 for being a Marvel Disney Plus show, one of the first or the first Marvel Disney Plus show. I thought it totally kicked ass. All the mystery was fantastic. No, of course not.
Well,
it's not too soon.
I would say it's too late if you just banged her. I mean, Jesus,
that joke is too soon. The too late, too soon joke.
Yeah, right.
Is too soon.
Do you know who would love the joke I just made? Betty White.
Betty White. Yes, she would.
No doubt about it.
She was a national treasure.
She loved jokes about having sex with corpses. If anybody loved jokes like that, it was Betty White.
That was her bag.
Good for you, Templar.
And WandaVision was absolutely fantastic. I loved it. Didn't love the end. Just the two witches kind of flying around in another big space battle. I feel like they could have done a little differently. And as much as I loved, what's her name? Catherine Hahn. As much as I loved her as Agatha Harkness, I didn't love her at the very, very end when she was more of her sorceress self. I thought her hair was over the top, and I thought some of her little, mannerisms were a little weird and over the top. But other than that, she ruled in that show, and just loved it.
Yeah, largely. I mean, I think that was a really fun show. It was done so uniquely. I loved the whole, the paying homage to all of these different time periods throughout history and all these different sitcoms. Really, and they did it really well, and they took it really seriously and trying to get it accurate and talking to people from these shows at the time and everything, which just made it so much fun. So that was a fun show. I agree. I mean, it was the ending perfect? No, but I mean, largely a very fun show, and I just loved that Marvel was, kind of the start of them really taking some chances and doing new things. And Catherine Hahn was hot. She was Augie. Yeah, she was. She makes it work. I always loved the scene in what is it? It's Step Brothers, where I remember when she's banging what's his name, John C. Reilly in the restroom, and then after she banged, he's like, "Oh my god, it's slippery," and he's like, "Something's happening." And then after she bangs him, she like goes to a urinal and just like puts her foot up on the side and just pees in the urinal like face forward. Stuff. And he's like, I love you. Like, oh my god, she kills me. Love her. She's awesome, and she was awesome in that role. Yeah, and apparently Pops it banged her. Holy crap, we've got some players in the chat.
I don't know if it's he did or would, but either way, no judgment
he's
here.
He's saying, yeah, I banged Catherine Hahn. He's implying they have a current sexual relationship right now.
That's current tense. Yeah.
Wow, that is really impressive. God, you guys.
Oh man. Dale Dovick, that's such a great, but that's not 2021, but still, oh man. So WandaVision, Loki, I might have loved Loki. Might be my favorite fantasy sci-fi-ish show of the year.
That one was great. That was real. That especially that hits a lot of buttons for me because, as you know, I like creepy sci-fi. I like stuff that really keeps you guessing the whole time with, mysteries in it and stuff like that. And so this really, to me, had those elements that I like right off the bat, where you're kind of, what's going on? You have to try to put the pieces together. You're kind of figuring it out as the character is. Owen Wilson was awesome. I mean, like it was.
You just want that guy to get a jet ski, don't you? Just want him to get a jet ski and ride off into the sunset.
God, so bad. Oh, Templar saying Loki was his. Yeah, I mean, like, I think I might agree. We'll have to talk about some more because I might be forgetting something, but that was definitely up there. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I'm sure I am too, but I loved Loki. Like everything
Except
about
for that
Loki.
one episode, but yeah.
Well, the one episode on the planet, what was it called? Anyways, that was a little slow, but I mean, like every other episode was great. The score was great. The opening and the closing, just the way the music comes in and Miss Minutes and all of that stuff.
Right.
Jonathan Majors at the end. The only thing about that, the finale, is just a little too much exposition. It's like 20 minutes of the finale was Jonathan Majors just talking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, although I still love the end, but with the timekeepers, the mystery with them, oh God, it was so good.
So great. But even that ending, I thought the same thing at first, but then, I've since rewatched it and I actually liked it even more. I really liked how the character came off, just the all-knowing like smugness of it all.
Yeah, the swagger, I mean? The all-knowing swagger and smugness.
Right. It was just really fantastic. And then when they do it, and then you see all the timelines. It's God, it's just such a great cliffhanger to end it on as well, which makes the ending so sweet because the show was so good. Very hard to have some sort of a satisfying ending, and that one was because you're like, oh shit, like it's going down now, and then that's it. End of season.
And I love the
great
way
show. One of my favorite things I think Marvel's ever done.
The way they built that storyline at the end, where he's basically like, you feel locked in a time loop? Well, you don't really have a choice. You're either going to play this game forever, or you can kill me, and then my variants take over, and I end up right back here. Yep. And just how they play that out, and how she's like, but we don't believe him. And so she kills him, and then literally he goes back, and there's already a statue of what looks to be the variant of King the Conqueror has already taken over. It's like, just God, I just love it.
It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I don't know if did you put up Augie's comment here? Yeah, like
no, we're gonna get more Loki. Yeah,
glad we're getting more Loki.
Season 2, Loki will return. Yep. So that was
very excited. Again, I was just blown away by that because you made me watch that, right? Didn't make it.
We binged it at the house,
but we binged it at the house because you're like, oh, you got to check this out, and like right away I was hooked. I'm like that is my jam. That kind of like sci-fi feel. Love that. So really great. The alligator Loki.
Alligator Loki.
I know, but this is where, because a lot of times when the typical sci-fi that I like were to do something a little too crazy, it just takes me out of it. But like Marvel's the right speed to be able to do something like that.
They get away with the stuff.
You can just, you know what I mean?
You can just not think about it too much and just go with it. I agree, because they do everything else so well.
Right. And because it's like there's just the right amount of like, chuckles and laughs and giggles and stuff like that, and like silly stuff that like you can just get away with, having an alligator Loki. But like if you imagine taking that timeline stuff more seriously, like a normal sci-fi, like, yeah, you would never do that. It would take, but it's like Marvel, I don't know, it's just the right universe to do it. It didn't really bother me. The episode was still fun. What's the guy who played the original costume Loki? What's his name?
Yeah, Richard what is his name?
Pryor. That's it. The stand-up comedian. That's the one.
No, it's
I forget his name. He's a good actor too. Why am I blanking on his name? Anyone know it in the
Richard
chat?
something. Richard something. Classic Loki actor. Richard.
Classic Loki actor. Richard E. Grant.
Richard E. Grant. Yes.
I loved him. I thought he was awesome as well. Just so many wonderful roles in that one. So I can't say enough good things about that. Another kind of experimental show for Marvel, and they just knocked it out of the park. Really great.
I love that scene with him when he conjures the entire Asgard to distract Goliath, and just the way he yells like glorious purpose. God, he's just so great. Okay.
He was great.
So move on. Everybody loves Loki. I have not talked to one a lot of shows, like even the book of Boba Fett, which you and I are going to try to get up and review at like 4:00 in the morning tomorrow, right after it comes out. It's like people are split on it already. It's like most people like it, but there's a faction of people that didn't like it, or at least didn't like certain parts of it.
But it's early.
For the most part, I know it's one episode in, but I mean, like Loki, people just love it. Even WandaVision, it's almost like too weird for some people, where some people were just like, I don't get it, I don't like it.
Yeah, I've met people that didn't really like it. Yeah,
people like it. But let me see. What does he say? I couldn't figure out where I'd seen the old Loki before. Yeah, so Richard E. Grant is in The Rise of Skywalker.
Because he's in Star Wars.
Yeah. So is he related to Ulysses S. Grant? The answer, Pop Sith, is he might be.
So let's see. Richard E. Grant. We can look up his IMDb here. Let's see some of the stuff he's been in, because he's been in a ton of crap. So
yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff, but he's revived Palpatine's right-hand man in The Rise of Skywalker, General Pride, right?
Yeah. So
is it Pride?
Yeah, it's Pride.
And he's the one who kills General Huggs.
General Huggs. So let's see. Where is all his stuff? Actor, 143 credits.
He's been in tons of stuff.
Yeah, let's look at some of the stuff he has been in. The Jungle Book, Loki. Let's see. What's he known for?
But, I mean, a couple new things. Like I said, Star Wars, Loki.
Oh, he was in Logan. I actually really liked Logan. Did you see that?
I did. Logan was really good.
I really liked it. And that's one I've met some people that didn't like it because it was a very...
it's pretty violent.
It's a violent, dark...
Very violent movie.
Much more serious style movie. But I thought it was great. I love the kind of father-son thing they did with, Professor Xavier and Wolverine. And
that's the one with the girl too, right?
Yeah, the little girl, and it just the way it essentially felt like a movie you've seen before, meaning it's like an estranged father, a daughter that he didn't know he had, kind of thing, and forced to raise her. He's taking care of his father who's starting to lose his mind and stuff like that, and they're trying to rekindle a relationship they used to have, but the son is Wolverine. The dad is Professor Xavier. You know what I mean? Like,
and then you got a little female clone Wolverine. It's like, that's female
clone Wolverine. It just awesome. Loved it.
So, also on 2021, stick with the Marvel shows. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I did not love Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and so
I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's a time I never watched it because I watched it and was like, it was fine. Some people with the Marvel movies. They prefer like the spy thrillers, like there's lots of people I know that love, they'll still say the Winter Soldier was their favorite movie, or they'll say, any of the old Captain Americas or some of those they love. And that's fine. Like some people like that. They like the spy thriller. I really don't like the fast car chases and the gun fights. When I'm watching a Marvel movie, that's not really what I'm looking for. I want Thanos and Infinity Gems, and I want Ultra Powers, or I want Loki, WandaVision. That's the stuff I want.
Yeah.
And so
I'm someone who I actually do like spy thrillers, and like I don't mind the action stuff, and like even action movies and stuff. It just depends on the style. Like for a spy thriller, I typically want it to feel like very real. You know what I mean? I want it to feel like this could actually be happening. I love those types of spy thrillers. But so when that's done in the Marvel universe, it's obviously not going to feel that way, right? It's going to be over the top. And so I don't know. It's like, toothpaste and orange juice. It's like, both are fine on their own, but you put them together and it doesn't
it's like
work.
Peanut butter and ladies.
Those two things go together great.
I was going to make a t-shirt of that. And so, like Winter Soldier, that's one of those things, like in a spy thriller, I never get why the chase ends when it does. Cause sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like the scene when I think it's Winter Soldier, right? Where they're chasing Samuel L. Jackson, and they flip like his Tahoe or whatever he's in, and Bucky goes up and like looks in, and he's gone because he like went through the manhole. But I mean, like he had to have just fallen down the manhole, and like he just looks and he's like, he got away. And it's like, what do you mean? He's probably right down there. I'm just like, jump down there, Bucky. Right, look around. You're gonna see him. Right. Yeah, he's not the Flash. It's not like he jumped down there and he's 10 miles down the pipe.
Right. He might have twisted an ankle. Who knows?
He might still just be laying there going, doing the Peter Griffin.
Thank goodness he walked away. Yeah. So we got, Falcon winner. It was dramatic. He said, told a great story. Everyone was kind of gung ho. Let's go. Yeah. So, and I bet it's a lot of people like. I can't judge. I have not seen it. But there is so little time in the day, so many books to read, so many movies to watch, so many shows to watch. And when Justin didn't like it, I'm like, okay, then once I have some downtime, I'll eventually get to it, but it wasn't on the top of my list.
Yeah, it was kind of weird with the villains, the Flag Smashers, and how they portrayed them, and the twist wasn't really a big twist. And I got to tell you, Falcon, Captain America's suit, which was kind of heavily inspired by one of the comics when Falcon becomes Captain America, and that's fine. But I think I've told you this before. Maybe I've said it before. But like his costume, like cuts off right here and like leaves his head exposed. And I'm like, wait a second. He's flying around, bashing through windows, and it's like he's not a superhuman. He's a regular guy. Where it's like a good clunk on the head could kill this guy.
Right.
And he's gonna not cover his brain. Even Captain America wears a helmet over his head before he becomes too cool for it. You know what I mean? But he's also a super soldier. He's a super soldier.
That's true. And he's the super soldier. Yep.
See, now I feel like I gotta find this and pull this up.
You're gonna pull up a picture of this? This
Falcon,
nonsense.
Captain America costume. It popped right up. So hold on. Here we go. We're gonna do a little image search. And
as you think about other superheroes that are just like normal people, their armor is very important to their character. Think Batman. This is DC, but Batman, right? He's a normal person who essentially is like has super gadgets in a suit that is bulletproof and obviously a helmet and everything that protect him. Really, the only thing that's exposed is like his eyes and his mouth. So if he gets shot there, like he's screwed.
Yeah, so you see it off to the right there. Like he doesn't have a helmet on.
He doesn't have a helmet. That is,
you got to protect your head, man.
And you're right. Like it. Well, yeah, that's weird because it would make more sense if he was just wearing goggles, like aesthetically.
Yes.
Exactly. And so it's like if you're not going to wear a helmet, then only goggles. But no, it like kind of goes down around his face, but that's weird. I never noticed. It
seems like that would be such a hassle to put on, like on his head, like face. Like, how do you even get that thing on?
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's weird. And a lot of people loved it, and I just didn't. So I don't know. Didn't like Falcon the Winter Soldier. What else was on Disney Plus? Let's see. What am I missing? Well, Black Widow came out. And Black Widow was fine. More of a spy thriller type Marvel movie, of course. But like there were times when I was entertained and I thought there were some cool scenes. And I love Yelena Belova. She's fantastic. Florence Pugh, who plays her, and she was in Hawkeye. And she's been in a few other things now. It's like I thought it was okay. There's silly parts. I don't know if you saw Black Widow or not, but there's this one part where the evil villain guy, who's from some of the other old movies.
Okay. But
he trains all the Black Widows. So Black Widow is not different strokes for different folks. That's right. And so Black Widow is one of many Black Widows. And the guy who trains them apparently implants a pheromone in them to where if they can smell him and he's around, they can't hurt him.
That's interesting.
Why, you might ask? Because science.
That reminds me of Love Potion #9. You ever seen that movie? Sandra Bullock, some other dude. I don't recall his name and haven't seen him in much. Have you ever seen that movie?
I don't think so.
It was actually, it's a fun, cheesy movie where so Sandra Bullock and this dude are two scientists who discover like a little potion where if you like put it on your tongue or whatever, it essentially like tingles the hair follicles and the opposite sex's ears in such a way that they just become attracted to you, right? And then it's them exploring.
That sounds good, and I need
power
some of
that gives you, right? Yeah. So like instantly, they're both just fucking their way through the city. because how could you not, right? So like the one guy's getting caught and like being pulled out of sorority houses by the cops because he just goes and puts some sprays in his mouth and they're all over him, right? But then of course they found out they actually love each other, and it's the whole idea of, well, is it ever true love if you're forcing it, yada yada yada, right? But the idea that you could just spray that in your mouth and just go, like he would go up to a girl in a grocery store and just be like, Farfignugan, and she's just like, what's your name? Like what are you all about? Instantly onto him. It's like, man, you'd make yourself you'd be the first trillionaire. You actually invent that thing.
It would have been better if he had just slammed his way through a sorority house and then the movie was just like, and he lived happily ever after.
Right. Him with just
like in what a life he led.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Great flick. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Hawkeye came out. Templar was on a few weeks ago. We talked about the first couple episodes. He was not a fan.
He was not digging it. He was not.
No, he was not digging it at all. He was just like, it's fine. I don't know if I'm going to watch the rest of it.
Well, you know what
again,
else?
It's Hawkeye, so it's more of a spy thriller. And there's good parts. There was some crazy cameos at the end.
Crazy cameos.
For those who may or may not know.
But if that's what's good about the show, then it means the show's not very good.
Well, Jeremy Renner, I don't know what people think about Jeremy Renner. It's like, I don't know. There's times I think he's doing a good job, and there are times I think he's like way over the top. I don't know.
Shit. Yeah.
But I would say overall, Hawkeye was fine. Again, for me, in like the less magical power versions of the Marvel shows, like Hawkeye or, like Falcon and Winter Soldier, I would say I liked Hawkeye better than I liked Falcon and Winter Soldier. So, yeah, Hawkeye was fine. And there's one big villain actually from a non-MCU Marvel show that appears that everyone was freaking out about.
Oh, really?
Yes. A sort of new villain who they kill at the end, which... Come on, chat. If you've watched it, spoiler alert. I don't care. We don't care. We'll spoil everything. I mean, this character is not dead. For anybody who watched Hawkeye at the end, even though when the camera pans away, they're not dead. I'm telling you.
This is like an end of Street Fighter thing where M. Bison pushes his hand out of the rubble and you're like, oh my God, he's not dead. But then the guy who played him actually died in real life, so they couldn't.
But then Raul Julia passed away. Yes, that's right.
I mean,
that movie was so terrible. But I loved it when I was young. When I was younger, I loved it.
Oh my God, yeah. When I was a kid, oh, this is awesome.
Well, because I love Street Fighter. Yeah,
right. Me too. But that movie was an absolute disaster. It was like, disaster, what a piece of shit of a movie! Incredibly bad.
Blanca and how
my
how they had to do some of that stuff.
One of the worst things ever. I watched it, man. Maybe 5-6 years ago or something, and I just like couldn't believe how bad it was.
One of the most cringe movies you'll ever try to rewatch. But
yeah. Oh, Pops had mentioned Kingpin. That didn't come out in 2021. That was a bit sooner. Great movie, though. Bowling movie. It's got Woody Harrelson, Justin.
I honestly can't tell if you're just going with this or not.
Of course, I know that's a villain. He's the big fat guy, a bald guy. Nobody. But Justin, the movie Kingpin, let's talk more about this.
Was a fantastic movie.
Exactly. Bill Murray. What's his one name? The guy who plays the Amish guy.
Jedi John, what's going on? Randy Quaid.
Randy Quaid. That movie is just, man, what a treat that movie was to be made.
What a treat.
And really shows you what it's really like to be on the pro bowling tour. Like it was
as former bowlers, we identify with that movie. Yeah,
as former bowlers, and we know several people, family members who have become pro bowlers for a time, trying to make it on tour. And stuff. And know
you can make hundreds of dollars if you're one of the best.
Hundreds of dollars, but only if you're good.
Yeah, but you gotta be real good.
You gotta be real good. You want to be making hundreds of dollars? You gotta be good. Well, back in the day, though, when I was a kid, I mean, if you won a tournament, you could win like 40 grand, right? I mean, that's good. But now
that went away.
That went away because that was back in maybe the early 90s. But now, so you think now with inflation, decades later, now you win a tournament, maybe you get $15,000, which is so it's like, think about that. Because winning $40,000 back then, it's like would have been like winning even more money. So you're not only winning like $30,000 less, but then you also have less purchasing power with it because of inflation. Crazy how much it's deflated.
Yeah, they do have some like big, like they have basically a couple of big tournaments now. Where it's like the winners make tons of money. So like that way their champion can they can be like, oh, they made $300,000 or $400,000 this year, the most all time. But it's like, how much did everybody else make? And the answer is not much at all.
Not much at all. Yep. Yeah, well, Pops had just watched it like 3 weeks ago. The landladies.
Hey, everybody, there's a shit cloud coming.
I'm telling you, that movie, absolute classic. So, Justin, another movie that came out in 2021, Dune, of course,
never seen
came out. And Justin has not seen that one. But man, oh man, Templar can speak to it as well. Fantastic movie. I love what Denis did with the movie. I thought the cinematography was awesome. The acting was awesome. And for a movie where I loved the book, and typically, as you know, the book was always better, this still, I thought, was a very good adaptation. It was very cool. So I'm super excited they're going to make a second one. Even like I've told you before, too, it's like it's the cinematography, it's the sound, everything about the world. Yeah, like Templar says here, it's just epic film. It really was, and it had that epic feel to it the whole time. I loved the casting of Duke, of Paul, just awesome.
Yep, I love the book. I have read the book Dune at your behest, of course, and so now I've got to watch the movie. I will watch the movie. Just as you said, I only have so much time set aside for shows and movies, but I will watch it, and then we will talk about it. We'll review it 3 months after it came out.
I know some of the scenes with the 60 Baron, the Baron Harkonnen was so good. I just absolutely every scene with him, I just thought was fantastic. The take on him again, how they modulated his voice and everything. Oh, it was beautiful. One of my favorites this year.
Unboxing treasures. What's going on? We're talking about all the movies and shows of 2021 that we liked and we hated.
And remember, we want this to be interactive. Say in the chat, what are some shows and movies we haven't mentioned that you guys really liked and or hated or thought were okay? Just throw them in there. Let's chat about them.
Yeah, so I'm trying to go back. Okay, so a couple Marvel movies, a couple more Marvel movies. Shang Chi and Eternals. Now, I got to say, I was very disappointed with the Eternals. I had been hearing for like 2 years because that movie was delayed because of COVID. And I had been hearing lots of things about how good it was going to be. And like people were like leaking footage and stuff. And they were talking about how like Marvel doesn't know what they even have on their hands. This could be the next big thing. And it essentially flopped. Oh, yeah. And I kind of get why, because one, it has like very little comedy, if any, which Marvel is kind of known for. Some movies are more serious, but the comedy was very forced. The lack of
their yucks.
I wouldn't even say a villain. I would say the show doesn't have a true villain. I mean, it has characters that are kind of in charge in some bad things. But it's not really. I don't know. There's not really like a key villain that they fight. They fight a bunch of villains, sort of, which is always weird and not as exciting because then the villain doesn't have a great motivation. And so you're just like, oh, they're evil and they want to kill us all.
Exactly. It's never, you always like it when you almost want to be rooting for the villain and, in some, because
I root for the villain all the time.
Their character. Yeah. And I mean, like, you're not rooting for him in that, like, ideally,
you want them to kill everyone and the movie to end,
right? You want to have, good guys that you're really rooting for to win, but you also want it to be close. You want to be rooting for the bad guy in some way, really show off their power and strength and everything. Exactly.
You want them to have a reason for doing what they're doing. Like people, myself included, love Thanos because Thanos had motivations. He had a belief. He had something where he thought he was doing the right thing, and people will still debate and say he was. It's kind of
they're wrong though, but
it's kind of a similar situation, not the exact same, but a similar situation to like what Kang is saying, where Kang is like, you might not like this. Right, like what I'm doing right now, you might hate it. You might think it's morally
like me
wrong.
Killing half of all sentient creatures in the universe. You might not like that.
I'm just saying. He's saying you might not like the way this works, but the alternative is infinite me's taking over infinite universes, and or whatever, or controlling or destroying maybe the multiverse. Like that's the possibility that could happen if we let this get out of hand. And so like Thanos, in a not the same but similar way, is saying everybody's just overpopulating. We're just going to hurry up. We're going to waste all our resources and then we all die.
But this clearly wasn't true in many of these places.
But again, this is a Marvel movie. And so we're just saying.
I'm just saying that's why to me, he's objectively wrong. But at least he has a purpose that he believes in, and he's an interesting and a motivation
character that he thinks right. And personally, because they give him the backstory of saying he watched his planet. They were low on resources. He proposed this, you could obviously say it's a awful thing, inhumane thing to say, like we should kill people so that some people can live. And people are like, that's barbaric. How could you ever think that? And then his species went extinct. And so he's like, I have seen it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's essentially what he's saying. I told you so. I watched it happen to my planet. And now, whether you like it or not, because you're going to tell me no, because you think it's barbaric, I'm going to do it and I'm going to save you. In the long run, you'll thank me. That's kind of like what his ideas.
Plenty of planets that had abundant resources. It would make more sense to use his power to share resources. You're defending Thanos' motivation. His motivation is honestly fairly weak. But
Thanos is right.
He sells it very well. And I really liked how Josh Brolin played him. Loved the character and thought it was great. But then also why that movie works with Infinity War is you also root for the good guys. Thor is awesome in that movie. You know what I mean? Like, so
Thor rules in that movie.
Exactly. So it makes it such that you're really excited by both the hero and the villain, because you can go too far the wrong way with like make it. In fact, this happens a lot where you can make a really compelling villain and your hero is kind of boring. And the reason that is because your villain is so proactive. They're always doing things. They're doing bad things, but they're doing things. They have a mission. They're destroying stuff. They want to kill people. They want to take over the world or the galaxy, whatever, the universe. And then your hero's just kind of reacting. Right? They're just reacting to what. Right. So they're just reacting to whatever the villain does. Makes their character a bit boring. They don't have their own motivations and things that they want to do. That Marvel did very well with having everyone have their different motivations. Thor's, trying to, fight his sister and fix his hammer and everything, yada, yada. So they all have their own things that they're doing. It's compelling. Then they kind of just meet at the end. But like a movie I've seen, I think you might have seen this back in the day, called The Jackal with Bruce Willis. Do you remember
I have seen
movie?
The Jackal with Bruce Willis.
So in The Jackal, Bruce Willis plays a hitman. And he's awesome. And the movie itself is just blah, right? But like he's an awesome villain in that movie as this hitman. And Richard Gere plays the good guy who's trying to chase him. And you just kind of don't even really recall what he did in the movie at any point. Like I honestly don't remember. But I remember all the things Bruce Willis did, because like he was on a mission to assassinate people, and he did it with aplomb. Like some of the stuff was so cool. How like he had this car that he had this paint on it, to where like one time he's being chased, people are following him. So he quick goes into a parking garage, all chill, then like races up at it, parks in a spot. He grabs this washer, washes it down so the paint changes color, quick changes his plates, like sprays this poison stuff on the handle in case anyone touches it, they die. Like he was just an awesome character, and Richard Gere's just kind of following him, trying to catch him. And so it's like, that's one where you've made a compelling villain, but your hero is just like boring as shit. And that happens a lot, and not just movies, but in books. It's really can be easy to write a good villain and hard to write good heroes. But again, in like Infinity War, I thought it was great, right? Your heroes and your villains were both interesting, intriguing, had their own motivations, eventually meet. They're both powerful. It was good.
And that's part of the reason why, like, I was never a big Captain America fan. I know tons of people are. He's like one of the most popular superheroes in the world. And I always just look at him and I think he's just like, I'm going to stop the bad guy.
But look at that.
There's bad guys. He's, it's America's ass. That's for sure. But I mean, that's the thing, is his motivation is always stop the bad guy. Now at least in Endgame, he had one motivation he wanted. He actually did something he wanted to do. He went back in time and stayed there and lived a life with a woman that he loved. And it's like, I was proud of him. I was like, yes, Captain America finally did something for himself. He actually he accomplished something in order to do something that he wanted to do himself. And so that was nice to see.
Yeah.
And he earned it. Unboxing Treasure says he didn't see a lot of movies, but Godzilla versus Kong, I didn't see that one because I feel like I've seen so many Godzilla and Kong movies. But I actually heard this was pretty good.
Oh,
I actually heard a lot of people were pretty high on this one.
Well, he even said good popcorn flick. That's a great way. I love that description of movies like that. Because again, you just got to take them for what they are. Good popcorn flick. Know what you're getting into, and that's fine.
Go be entertained. Enjoyable. Right, you're not going to try to dissect why Kong could never exist in the current universe, which is something that you and I would do. I think. Yeah.
Oh, and this is Thanos, very similar to Galactus. Can't wait to see Big G hit the screen. Completely agree. Is there any? Have you heard any rumors or anything about Galactus? Making appearances anytime soon, or no?
Other than Fantastic Four is coming soon. Sooner than X-Men, probably. Although we're gonna start getting teasers, I assume, for Fantastic Four and for X-Men soon. Like we're gonna start seeing them in movies. I don't know. It seems to me like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is the perfect place to put a cameo, a post-credit scene, something to introduce mutants, the Fantastic Four, you know what I mean? To introduce that whole other universe where they can sort of canonize all the old movies, which is essentially what they just did in Spider-Man. Like they have essentially MCU'd, whatever you want to call it, canonized, just not in the MCU universe, if you want to call it the 616 universe.
Yeah.
Because I think the whole point is we follow the 616 universe. And so like Loki's kind of taking place outside of that time. But But yeah, they really kind of canonized it all with the multiverse. All those Spider-Mans now have happened. Tom Holland's met them. Like their movies now are movies. Dr. Octopus was in Spider-Man.
They weren't movies before.
They weren't real movies. But he was always my favorite. Spider-Man 2 was always my favorite comic book movie for the longest time. I love Dr. Octopus. I loved
what they did with his character in that. Did you see that part? Like what they did with him?
Yeah, they like redeemed him and he fixed the chip on the the arms.
Great. I actually really liked that. That was nice.
Yeah. He was I loved his fight scenes. This with Dr. Octopus. The fight scenes with him are so great.
Yep, because they treat Marvel Universe treats some of these scientists just too harshly, man. The scientists too often
they all go crazy. They all go crazy. They all get powerful. They want to do crazy, powerful things, then they end up dying.
And it's really just because they want non-superheroes to be villains, and it's like, well, how do you do that? Well, you need them to make cool shit, so they're just kind of like, well, scientists know how to do stuff. And so that's,
they do.
But now also there's a ton of scientists that are the heroes. In fact, you just mentioned Fantastic Four. Reed Richards has like 100 PhDs. Is supposed to be like one of the smartest guys in the universe, scientist. And it has the nice gray going on the sides, just like me. So I can relate to the guy on so many levels, right? Being one of the most intelligent people in the universe, gray hair on the sides. I mean,
absolutely insufferable sometimes. Yeah,
insufferable.
I totally
can stretch my limbs as long as I want. I mean, it's just
so weird. You've always been able to do that.
I know, the parallels are insane.
Augie says Galactus probably won't be seen until the after a first. He could be a teaser at the end of the first Fantastic Four movie. But I think he's a big bad that I think people want to see. But as far as, I think everyone wants to see Doctor Doom. No one really likes the way Doctor Doom has ever been done. And he's just like that. To me, he's like that, just one piece of IP just sitting out there that I think Marvel is really trying to develop a good plan for him.
Right, because I agree. Yeah. Like you talk to people who love the comics, and Doctor Doom is like always one of their favorite villains, but never from how he's been portrayed elsewhere. So I completely agree. That would be a nice one to rehash. And Galactus, I've been waiting for a long time. I had heard rumors too of some big time celebrities, some big names who have been interested in playing Galactus.
Playing Galactus? Oh, really?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, like the X-Men movies too, which I loved when I was younger. They came out 25 years ago. I hated X-Men Apocalypse. And I think that was a fairly well-received movie, maybe. I don't know. Tell me in the chat.
Apocalypse wasn't. Because that came out around the same... No, that came out around the same time as Civil War. And that one was fairly well regarded. Captain America: Civil War.
Civil War was, yeah.
Yep. And because I remember we went to go see this after a night of drinking at golf. And I remember saying like, I think this is actually being pretty well received. Like we should go check it out by fans, by critics. And I was wrong. It was Civil War that was being well received. But we went to see Apocalypse, and we got done. We were like, that wasn't that good. And then I was like,
I think I was kind of complaining maybe during the movie to you, like, is this a dream sequence? Like,
it was
Apocalypse can like grow to be essentially any size he wants.
Only in dreams.
Instead, he grows to like be 20 feet tall in a dream. And it's like, what? And if he can literally walk around and dissolve people with his mind. And I'm like, that's just, when I think Apocalypse, I think of the old school X-Men cartoon show Apocalypse. That's how I see Apocalypse.
Right.
And so then just to see that weird portrayal of him and especially his powers. And that's the one thing, and I get that they change powers. Like Thanos is a great example. Thanos like can shoot laser bolts and he has telekinesis. Marvel didn't give him any of those powers. Like, because they're like, he's already going to be so super powered with the gauntlet.
So OP,
And so he's really just an intelligent Hulk who then gets the Infinity Gauntlet. And so like that's fine.
Well, he's way sharper stand up than the Hulk. You saw the way he was ducking and weaving, his right hands. I mean, they're just tighter.
Yeah, he's got a better stand up game. That's for
Hulk
sure.
is just kind of Hulk smashing. Thanos was out there. He's ducking and weaving. He's moving his shoulders. He understands the fight game.
And then even without the gauntlet, in an Endgame, of course, without the gauntlet, he fights and really, really defeats Iron Man and Cap. I mean, beating Captain America should not be a big deal for him. Beating Iron Man would be tougher, but really beating Thor should be the hardest. But he beats even, Stormbreaker, overpowered Thor again, for the second time. So, but yeah, and that's really with no powers. That's just being essentially a bigger, stronger Hulk. That's really all he was. So, anyways, we're going down the Marvel thing again.
So, what actor do you think should play Doctor Doom, Justin?
John Malkovich.
Sean Connery, I would say. And not a young Sean Connery, an old Sean Connery, just right now. Maybe that guy who was in Room. Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Tommy something.
Oh man.
Another
Room.
I showed you that, right? Did you see that full movie?
Yeah. No, I don't know if I've seen the full movie. I've seen.
I just showed you clips of it.
I've just seen on the internet. I've seen clips, but yeah.
People do like watch throughs of that movie all the time. Like get together in theaters and watch it because it's just the worst movie.
It's unintentionally the worst movie ever.
Exactly. It is unintentionally the worst movie ever. It's crazy.
And so talking about things that are terrible that you love.
Sure. Well, I don't love that.
Well, but I mean, but people love in general, but for different reasons. Right. Have you watched Cobra Kai?
So I watched the first season, but now they're on season 3, 4?
4. Four just came out. 4 just came out like last week. And so my wife and Becky and I binged it like in 2 nights, a couple of nights ago. And it's just, I don't know what it like in the chat, or if you're watching on the replay, put in the comments. Let me know what you think of Cobra Kai if you've seen it. To me, it is like the best terrible television show ever made because it's totally nostalgic. It's all about Mr. Miyagi. They constantly show flashbacks from the movies. They are constantly bringing every actor back from all 3 movies. At some point, everyone comes back to play a role. And they always flash back to that person to like remind the audience who they were.
Because you're like, who the fuck is... Oh yeah, they were sweeping the mats during the karate match. Like, I guess I didn't remember that.
I was the janitor in the dojo. That's right. And they've brought back really everyone that I can think of except for like one of the kids. But it's like, it's good because like you just eat up the nostalgia, but the show itself, it's just so weird. Like it's very cringy. I mean, Becky and I there are times when I'm sitting there like my hands on my head and I'm like, oh boy, this is bad. and yet I want to keep watching it. I'm like, I want to eating
that nostalgia. You just gotta keep
that's right. I'm like, I gotta keep going.
I gotta see that next picture of Mr. Miyagi. I loved the Karate Kid when I was younger. That was, as you know, did karate and stuff when I was younger. Did martial arts most of my life. When I was a kid, that movie was the shit. Like I love, going around. I'm doing the double kicks and everything like that. Just great. And so Mr. Miyagi was like a father to me. You know what I mean? Like, I love that guy. So seeing the nostalgia with that,
he was your on-screen father.
Raised me. Absolutely loved it. And so that's the reason I watched the first season. But yeah, it was a bit tough in parts, but still the nostalgia was nice. And I liked how they played it initially, where like, LaRusso becomes this, kind of cocky douchebag initially, runs a car dealership. Still like living off his victory of that karate match. And he's, we're gonna, punch down the other prices and stuff.
Know.
Like, oh my God.
But Johnny's even better because he's still just like a douchebag who's like all about chicks in old cars and 80s music.
Right.
And he just never knows what's going on. And and William Zabka just plays him exactly how you think a guy like that would be 30 years later. Like it's just like exactly right. And really Daniel plays like exactly who you think he would be 30 years later too. Like they both just kind of play the perfect roles.
Yep. What I thought was funny too. I remember the first like karate scene they have. It feels like the karate from the first Karate Kid. You know what I mean? Like it's a little too slow. It's not very good. These moves wouldn't really work, 80% of them in real fights and stuff. And like, I thought when I saw the reboot of the show, I figured it would be a little better. Like, you know what I mean? Like they would have upgraded the fight scenes because this was back in the 80s or something. The Karate Kid came out. But like, man, the fight scene in the parking lot where like the one kid falls into his car and he's like, don't mess with the car. And then he starts karateing all these kids. it's going so slow. It's one attacker at a time, like normal, like doing moves.
Well, the one guy always waits back for his turn, and he's like, "Okay, now I can go in and get my ass kicked."
Okay, he very slowly, a roundhouse kicked that guy. Okay, it's my turn to move in here. I'm not really going to do much, but maybe I'll swing, and then after you duck it, I'm just going to sit there and wait for you to sidekick me in the ribs, because like if I moved away, you wouldn't have that opportunity. So like you just have to sit there after the punch. Like, kills me. But there is some funny moments in that first season. That's how I think. It's more, it's a comedy.
They can get better, right? It's sort of like a dramedy, and with nostalgia. Yeah. But yeah, I mean the fight scenes get better, but the teen romance kind of like is a true CW. Just like there's love triangles everywhere. They're all like teenager kids, and so you almost feel a little uncomfortable sometimes.
Well, that's why I fell out of it. It became like really, more of a teenage romance, and I was like, I don't know if this show's for me. It's not marketed for me. It's not aiming for the audience that I am.
It's not because like in the last season, I don't want to get into. I try not to be spoilery, but I mean, like there's a scene where like they're fighting at the tournament, and the one guy's gi gets ripped. He's like, I don't know, 17, but he like rips off his gi and like he's all ripped and like walking around. And I'm just like, I feel weirdly uncomfortable. And so then the other kid looks
can you keep describing it?
And the other kid, so he rips off his gi. And so then they're walking around looking at each other and they're like, fighting shirtless.
What else do they do? Don't stop.
Okay. Don't get too weird.
What do you mean?
But I'm saying like, but that's what happens. And I'm like looking at my wife going, okay, I mean, like they know that like a lot of people watching this movie are probably in their 40s and 50s because they love the Karate Kid, and now you're
playing
just
on the nostalgia so hard. It seems weird
that's what I mean. You're playing so hard nostalgia, constant people coming back, constant flashbacks to the movies, and then you're parading around a bunch of teenage dudes with their shirts off, and it's like, all right, come on. I mean, I like that. That's the best part of the part of the show. That's
a good part, but The
anyways,
stuff, it's just romance with those girls who have cooties. That's what I don't like.
I know. Screw chicks, man. Sometimes they just got to dance.
Man.
All right. So what else? We got to talk just for a second about the Wheel of Time. I'm going to go super quick on this one. I love the books I've read. I hated the adaptation. And so I'm going to try to be a little easy on Rafe Judkins, who's the showrunner here. Because like I want to just tear this guy apart and be like, this is a mess. It's just it's kind of like the Rise of Skywalker, which I both love and hate for different reasons. But it's like it's all over the place. It's so fast. There's so few character moments, and the next thing you know, Lan is confessing his love to Nynaeve, and it's like you guys like stared at each other one time, and then apparently just had sex, and now he is in love with you and is jealous of the man who will marry you. It's so weird that the scene when they all get together to channel the 5 women, it's like, why did they wait all day for like all their people to be slaughtered? And then for why don't they just go up to the wall? There's just so many, it was portrayed so poorly.
Yeah.
It strayed so heavily from the books, but
strayed very heavily from the books. Yeah.
What I heard, originally, I think I told you they were going to have a 2-hour premiere. Amazon said no. Then I heard Amazon told them 8 episodes. I heard that Rafe Judkins was like, no, we need 10 or 11 or 12. Mm-hmm. And Amazon said no. Like what? Amazon basically, this is all hearsay, but the articles I have read have said that Rafe Judkins and the writers consistently pushed for more time and more episodes to make more happen. And Amazon said no. Do it with the budget you did. Do it in 8 episodes. They can't afford it.
Amazon cannot afford it.
Amazon doesn't have any money.
Where are they going to come up with that money? You know what I mean? Being one of the richest corporations in the entire world. The CEO has to fly off in a penis to space every other week. So they got more important things to do. Jeff Bezos
is so rich, he could personally fund 12 Wheel of Times a year. So like once a month, he could have a new Wheel of Time show coming out, maybe in perpetuity.
And still be one of the richest people.
And still be a billionaire
on Earth while doing it. It's just crazy.
It's crazy to me.
But you guys can't have a few more. Well, and to me, it just seems crazy because they're a streaming service that's like still trying to get their footing, right? Because I mean, obviously, Amazon, it has their claws into everything, but like to try to become a streaming service that competes with things like Netflix or with say cable shows that have been around forever, like HBO. Like you need to go big. You need those few, like even Netflix. It's like you need a few shows to really blow up to gain traction. This would be a really great time for them to have that for something that's so popular, has such a big following, and to just be like, no, we don't want to give you a few extra episodes. Like, what?
To have to stray so far, like they're not going to fall into what Game of Thrones fell into. They're not going to run out of source material. They have it all. They have 14 books, and then they could pick and choose the storylines they avoid, because I've heard from people who have read the entire series that it does drag in the middle. And so it's like they can cut out a lot of the pointless side quests and fetch quests, and they can cut that out. But like, really, they should try to stay as true as they can.
Yep.
And it just seemed like from day one, you meet the characters and you're like, they're all sort of different races, despite the fact that they're all supposed to be the same because they're all from that part of the world, which all has the rich blood from the Aiels. And so it's like, okay, representation, whatever, I don't care, as long as it doesn't impact the story. And then they all have different backstories. All their parents are different. Parents married, and all these other things. Perry and Egwene were like promised to each other, but now they're like they're slamming. We find that out in episode 1. But now they aged them up a little. I get that. Game of Thrones aged up the kids. They aged up Ned Stark, and that made perfect sense.
Exactly, because plus you don't want to be younger kids. It's tougher to work with. You have to worry about them aging in each season and stuff like that.
Like so Maisie Williams and
right. So it's like that made sense to me. It was changing their backstories where it's like, but why? And then changing fundamental aspects of the story, and it's like, but why? Like cutting out good parts and moments that pay off down the road, and why? I just don't get it. To tell something that like is totally never happened in the books that you didn't do very well, right? It's like, so why? Because they just wanted to make their own story. It's some sort of self-masturbatory thing of like just wanting to feel like they're a writer and wrote their own thing. I think. I wonder if that's it, because to me it's like it doesn't make any sense. Someone already wrote it, and
it's like they feel like they need to make it their own,
right? And it's like, and someone spent years writing each book,
decades,
right? Like years writing each book. So that means they spent decades writing it. It's already written, man. Like you don't need to write anything except write how I'm going to take that and put it on the screen. That's your job. And if you do it well, you will be lauded as a genius for it, right? Unless you mess it up once you get past the source material, like D&D, right? But like again, people treated them like they were geniuses by how they did what they did with Game of Thrones.
They won award after award.
How good they had dialogue and stuff. All the great dialogue was pulled directly from the books. That is
exactly
because
like
they knew the source material was good.
When you go back and read the books, you're like, oh, that is line for line from the book. Like they pulled it all. You're right. And so many people will say, myself included, that the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones are some of the best television I've ever seen in my entire life. Because they did a great job. And I'll end with this, unless you want to throw anything else out there. Is somebody said, what did I say? I was watching a critique of Wheel of Time. Most of them were negative that I've seen. And they said they would have killed to have D&D from Game of Thrones adapt the show.
I agree.
And they said that should tell you something. Like I would kill to have those guys right now. Everyone hates them now because of the way Game of Thrones ended, but they were great adapters, and I would kill someone to have them do the Wheel of Time.
Because they would never run out of source material.
They would have done it justice.
And they wouldn't have had this problem where the series isn't finished yet.
About them in a long time.
Yep, the series in the Wheel of Time is done. And so like we don't have to worry about D&D running out of source material and deciding, okay, because we adapted this so well, clearly we're brilliant writers that don't need to say, listen to anyone else or hire other teams of writers to help us, or say, listen to the actors about what they think their characters should do. This is something that like really blows my mind, because it's really common with directors is acknowledging that like an actor who has played a character for a long time honestly knows the character better than anyone else at that point. They're trying to live and breathe the character, understand them. And so like when new directors come into projects or shows or movie series, their new director, they'll always go to the actors and say, does it make sense for the character? What do you think the character should do? Yada, yada. Right. Because it's like they're living and breathing just that character, right? But like the actors would come to D&D, once they got past the source material and be like, my character wouldn't do this. And they just wouldn't listen. Even though,
Yeah,
and
I know
multiple
Varys
actors were
and a
getting
few
pissed and
Davos,
saying, no,
yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. I've been playing this character for a year. Again, anything else, you can do what you want. I can't say anything. I've been playing this character for years. They wouldn't do this, right? And they just wouldn't listen. And it's like their egos got the best of them.
I agree. And now that we're on Game of Thrones,
which we have to do, it's obligatory. Again, we get paid to hype the upcoming series. Make sure you watch Something About Dragons. I don't know.
What did you see? The Peter Dinklage article. Where is it? Here.
Peter Dinklage, for those that don't know, is what Justin calls his penis. Because it's little.
It's appropriate.
But it commands respect.
Yeah, okay, so this was like a week or so ago. I'm going to share this here. I'm going to bring this up. We're going to look at this real quick. We'll get back. By the way, put it in the comments. Anybody who's watching live, put it in the comments if there's any other movies or shows we're missing that you want to talk about that you really liked. I got to share this now.
Oh, what's this?
Right. Peter Dinklage says Game of Thrones fans, oh, no thanks, we're upset about the finale because, quote, they wanted the pretty white people to ride off into the sunset, end quote.
No, I don't think anybody wanted that.
And Game of Thrones fans who basically love Peter Dinklage are slamming him for this.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
That is absolute trash. So, this is him. This is him. Quote, they wanted the pretty white people to ride off into the sunset together. By the way, it's fiction, he added with a laugh. There's dragons in it. Move on.
What does that have to do with anything? Of course it's fiction. I mean,
exactly. The show, quote, the show subverts what you think, and that's what I love about it. Okay, that's what a lot of people like. Yeah, it was called Game of Thrones, but at the end, the whole dialogue when people would approach me on the street was, who's going to be on the throne? I don't know why that's their takeaway, because the show's about more than that. It's like, yeah, we know. Okay.
Right. Precisely. Yeah. Sure.
Let me see.
What does that have to do with them? What is that? Yeah, they're hot. What does that have to do with them wanting white people to ride off? I've never heard a single person say that. In fact, the most common thing that I've heard is, the White Walkers, as George R. R. Martin has said out of his own mouth, right? We're supposed to be an analogy for something like climate change, right? Like an existential threat that people aren't taking seriously.
Yes, they
that
have
eventually
to deal
comes
with
back
in addition to what they're
bite
doing.
You.
Yes.
But the whole idea, what people wanted to see was the White Walkers were this over-looming threat that was supposed to be threatening everything, but they're all just squabbling about who's going to sit on the throne. And then eventually they realized, well, their squabbles were useless because now this thing is at their doorstep and it's over. And instead it was an episode. You know what I mean? It was just kind of it actually wasn't that big a deal. They took care of it pretty handily. And it's that was stupid. It undermined what you were setting up from episode 1. It's the White Walkers should have mowed shit down. That would have been epic. But again, we've read so many since the finale. There have been so many fan stories and stuff that I've read that are just so much better and that are very different of who lives, who dies. Some actually, most people live, some almost everybody dies, that are so superior to what was actually put on screen. It's just that it wasn't a good ending. It wasn't a Game of Thrones ending, and that it just left you sick or confused or you can't believe everyone died. It wasn't a satisfying ending where it's wow, kind of everyone got what was coming to them or what you wanted. It was just kind of a shitty ending that didn't make that much sense given everything that we had seen before. And that's why people are mad. And to act oh, there's dragons in it, let it go. What are you talking? Of course, yeah, there's dragons. It's
people invested money. People invested their time. They watched this show for years. They bought books. But look at this. Look at this quote.
Peter, have you ever been upset about how a movie ended or a book ended? Well, lighten up, dude. It's people are just complaining that they didn't like how their story ended. That happens.
He's a rich actor. Man. He doesn't get into that.
Oh,
quote. They were angry
he only
at us
watches documentaries.
Quote. They were angry at us for breaking up with them. End quote. We were going off the air and they didn't know what to do with their Sunday nights anymore. They wanted more, so they backlashed about that.
And that's also not true. There have been shows.
Isn't that a joke? Isn't that
really
a joke?
That is really
why
shitty.
would Peter Dinklage come out and say again,
That's really little of
like
him.
I loved. Oh, I see what you did there. Well done.
What did I do?
I'm going to change it.
If
We're going to have a second
but
channel called BookBarBros Puns.
but if Peter Dinklage is literally going to be so reductivist about the show and about the nature of fiction, like essentially the writers are being criticized for doing a poor job, and he's saying it's fiction, let it go. Like, what a silly take. And so if you're going to be so reductivist and silly, then I'm going to make silly puns about the fact that his character was a dwarf or whatever. That's just it's just nonsense.
And I think in that article
we're
he
gonna move
complained
on.
about something else from another show, and I want to be like, yeah, it's fiction. Somebody made that story up, so get over it. That's the way it is. Like, come on, Peter.
Yeah, like, wow, what a crazy take, man.
Getting back to 2021 because now we're totally sidetracked.
Yeah.
Kong versus Godzilla. I think Unboxing Treasures brought that up earlier, Templar. Oh yeah, we didn't see that, but I actually heard it was. I think what did Unboxing Treasures say? He said it was
popcorn,
a good popcorn flick.
Like, which
yeah,
I love that term. Yeah.
Augie said I haven't watched Resident Alien. There's so many other good shows. Templar messaged me with another show on Netflix, and I can't remember what it's called, but I had seen an ad for it, and it looked like a superhero family type thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? Did it pop up like in your suggested shows in the last week or two?
No, I don't think so. But one thing I saw, another sci-fi thing I saw, Matrix Resurrections, right? I believe that's what it's called. The Matrix 4, right, just came out. Saw that in theaters. And it was, I don't know, mixed feelings about it. I think that's kind of the takeaway for a lot of people. There was
I've heard a lot of mixed reviews. I haven't seen it yet.
Because it's not like it was awful, but it's not like it was epic. And because like the first one to me is like an absolute masterpiece. The Wachowskis,
one of my top 10 favorite movies, best movies of all time. Yep,
exactly. It's like it's like one of the best movies ever. I mean, they broke so many rules in that movie. They opened up the doors for so many different things that movies just do all the time now, and they did it perfectly. And it was like the story in it. I mean, you could literally watch that movie and analyze it in anything from like a philosophy to a gender studies to a quick time. I mean, like, I'm serious. The movie was brilliant and awesome. And you could also just like watch it with a bunch of friends getting drunk and you just have a great time, right? It's an amazing, amazing movie. I couldn't recommend highly enough. And then the second and third movie were just meh. And then this one I think was like, it's the same thing. It's trying to play in the nostalgia a bit.
This one's meh. This one's
You're right. It's a meh, it's a meh, and it's an ah. You know what I mean?
As a movie critic, Tyler's reviews would be great. It would just be one sentence.
What do you think?
Meh.
And so, I kind of like some of the nostalgia they did. They got very meta at times, which I actually thought worked, especially in this day and age. Meta is very hip right now. The Rick and Morty meta.
It's down. It's got the 411.
Indeed, it does. And so it very, very meta, but I actually kind of liked it. It essentially allowed them to talk about how hard it is to make another Matrix, in this day and age, and what people are going to do, including like what I'm doing right now, and how they're going to analyze it and break it down and criticize it and everything. And so that was I really liked that. I thought that was brilliant. But I don't know. There was too many things where like they almost spent too much time rehashing things that had already been done and trying to bring back old characters, and then it just kind of feels like, well, okay, but I've seen this, and it's not as cool this time. Like you needed to do something new or different. And instead they spent too much time just trying to rehash the old. Like even in fight scenes, it's like, oh, yep, there's that thing that Agent Smith did to Neo in the first one. But why though? Like why not just do something different? And
because nostalgia.
Right. But some cool ideas, some cool little twists and turns. So if you liked, the first one, it's still worth watching in my opinion, but it's just okay. It's nothing like the experience of watching that first one was surreal, man. It's such a great movie. I remember seeing that movie with our dad when I was a kid, and us both walking out of it and being like, what was that? And be like, did you like it? And being like, I'm not sure. Right? Like, because it was so different. Like it was so unique. And then over time, just grown to love it more and more. I mean, that was a crazy movie. So check out Matrix 4. It's pretty cool at parts, but it's on a scale of to it's a meh.
It's a meh.
It's a meh.
MEH, period. It's a meh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm trying to think of any other good movies. I mean, Shang Chi, I think I brought up, but didn't really talk about. Shang Chi was also fine. It was fine.
It was a meh?
It was more like
a meh. Oh, so it was a meh.
I would say, I think you grade them versus your expectations.
Yeah.
And so I would say it pleasantly, I was pleasantly surprised that it exceeded my expectations moderately.
Nice.
So it's like, it wasn't great. It's not one of the 10 best MCU movies or anything like that, but it wasn't, bad. Like, it's not like I watched it and was like, it sucked. It's like, there was cool moments, there was parts, and it was fine. The big CGI battle at the end, a little over the top, but like, it was a unique idea. It was neat.
Yep. Well,
it's so hard to do this without trying to spoil things. We spoiled a few things, probably.
I think we've already kind of spoiled some stuff.
I know, but spoilers for all television shows and movies from 2021. You get the alert at the end of the.
Yeah, I know. If you wanted to see him, should have seen him last year, folks. I mean, come on. It's 2022.
Let me see. It seemed like it would have been a fun series. What are you talking about? Are you talking about Resident Alien? Alan Tudyk. Is that a show or a movie?
What, Alan Tudyk is insane? I like Alan Tudyk.
I feel like I've seen previews or things for Resident Alien.
Alan Tudyk, who did the voice of K2SO, right?
Oh, is it?
I
think you might be right.
I'm gonna look
K2SO, one of the top 30 droids in Star Wars history. No, he's one of the best. He's one of the best.
We're gonna say voice of K2SO. I believe, it's Alan Tudyk. That's what I thought. And he was also he was in Knight's Tale with the late Heath Ledger. Loved him in that movie.
Templar says the movie Shang-Chi. So yeah. Okay. So Shang-Chi. Yeah, I agree. They almost could have made Shang-Chi a series, a little mini series, and then you could have given Shang-Chi a little more backstory. You could have done 6, 7, 8.
Steve the Pirate,
right? Is Alan Tudyk Steve the Pirate from Dodgeball?
Steve the Pirate in Dodgeball too. Yeah, one of his greatest roles. And you know why that's one of his greatest roles, Justin? Because I don't know how that character was pulled off. You literally have in a Dodgeball movie. There's just a guy who's a pirate.
He thinks he's a pirate. And his best line is at the very end of Dodgeball when he comes out as like a normal guy because he's done. He's done. And he's talking to Vince Vaughn.
He's like, I realized this was all so silly, and I'm sorry.
He's like, who's gonna help me spend all this buried treasure? And he goes, Peter.
Like, why does that work? It's so silly,
but
it works.
So good.
It's so great. Wow,
so stupid, but it's so good.
That is Alan Tudyk. Oh, Firefly too. Yeah, I forgot he was in Firefly. Man, you're pulling up all kinds of. I need to brush up on my Alan Tudyk stuff that he was in. But he was in I, Robot, of course, Rogue One, Knight's Tale that I mentioned.
Wasn't he in V?
Was he in V? I vaguely remember that. That came around wasn't that around Lost Time that show came out?
And I was actually really looking forward to it. I thought it was gonna be really good. I think it got canceled almost right away.
Very quickly, I believe, yeah.
But I think he was in V. I think he was one of the main, if not the main alien guy, main alien guy, or lizard guy.
You might be right. That kind of seems familiar. Yeah. He was in Zootopia, a similar movie.
Zootopia, a similar
movie. Have you seen Zootopia?
Yeah, I've seen Zootopia. I have kids.
Exactly. Me too. Watched that movie many times. But it's one that, if I have to watch a kids movie and Zootopia's on, I'm like, this ain't too bad. It's got Alan Tudyk.
And it's got Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman. It has. It also has Idris Elba. Right, he's the chief.
He's the chief, the cop chief. Yep, that's right.
He's the cop chief. Right. So a lot of big names pulling out the stops there. And he was in Frozen. He was in Wreck-It Ralph. He was the voice of King Candy.
Alan Tudyk was the voice of King Candy?
Yeah, it says right here. I'm on IMDb. He was voice of King Candy in Wreck-It Ralph.
No, he wasn't.
I'm looking at it right here, Justin. I am telling you.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
Check
Wreck-It
your
Ralph.
sources, Tyler.
Another animated flick that if I'm going to sit down and watch an animated, movie, Wreck-It Ralph, you can do no wrong there.
Have you seen Encanto with the kids yet?
Yeah, we actually we saw it. That was the first movie Max has ever seen in the theater.
Oh, really?
We
No
went
kidding.
and saw Encanto. Yeah, it was a fun one because obviously it's got Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Lin-Manuel Miranda as Bruno.
Yeah, and so Carrie and I saw that, and we both absolutely adored Hamilton. We felt, and you did too, right? I mean, watched Hamilton. I was like, this is a goddamn masterpiece. I just thought Hamilton was so good.
I don't like musicals, and I watched that and was like, this is one of the best things I've ever seen. It's so
I know,
good.
it was so good. And so I just kind of fell in love with Lin-Manuel Miranda after watching that one, even though I think he's the worst performer. The fact that
he's the worst singer. He's the worst singer.
Yeah, I'm going to say he's not a bad performer, but he was the worst singer by far. But the whole play is just astonishingly good. And so we saw, he's like, oh, Lin-Manuel Miranda's behind this. We're like, yeah, we'll go. Gotta go see it, man. And so yeah, it was a fun one. And now Max was watching it today, so that was a fun one. It's no Hamilton. It is no Hamilton. I will say that.
Good for the kids, though. Good for the kids. It's on Disney Plus now. On Disney Plus now. Anything else? Any Star? Well, we got Star Wars Mandalorian season 2 in 2021. We got Luke Skywalker in 2021, which was one of the most epic scenes in a show I can recall. I watched it like 30 times.
Can't even describe how much I love that scene.
I watched reaction video after reaction video after reaction video.
We watched countless reaction videos together. And I know that we have both watched them separately a lot as well.
Every time I could find one, I watched it. I mean, I bet I watched 50 different reaction videos. Some of them are just like the worst, camera quality and everything. Yeah. And I watched every one. And it's so weird because I loved seeing how different people reacted. Some people screamed and cheered, and others started crying the second they thought it was Luke. Yeah. And some people were in total disbelief and total shock.
I know, it was crazy to see when some people picked up on it.
Yeah. Some people picked it up really early.
Well,
and some people it didn't. They were like, "Oh, it's Ahsoka," or maybe it's
almost refusing to believe it. And there are some people once you see the X-wing, they were like, "Oh my god, is that Luke?" And they're like, "No, who else could it be?" But then what? I saw one guy who was like, "That was an X-wing with a blue R2 unit," and I was like, "I didn't catch that. I didn't notice it was a blue R2 unit. I saw that it was an X-wing, but I was like, wow, what a good catch! In the moment, first time watching it, to catch that was great." And so he starts breaking down right away.
Oh God, the music right there is so
perfect.
Good.
And
the way they cut to the cameras
and everything.
Yes, the choreography, the way they cut the cameras with then you see it on camera, but it's a black and white camera, and so you can't quite tell.
Exactly,
and then from the behind shot where he walks from behind the camera in front of the camera, and you see the green lightsaber. Oh my God, watching people react to that, almost makes me more emotional than just watching it by myself.
But that scene has
I love watching those reactions
on multiple.
I know, me too. Oh my God.
It's just
so
one of the perfect endings to a series I have ever seen. That was absolutely incredible. I loved it. Cannot speak highly enough about it.
Good.
Wow.
The hallway scene, the Force crush on the Dark Trooper. God.
Circling back to Alan Tudyk, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Have you seen this? I don't think you've seen this, Justin.
I've never even heard of whatever this is.
So this is how to describe it? Like a spoof horror movie, kind of, but it's more
like a Rocky Horror Picture Show type thing?
No. No, it's exactly like that. If anyone, it's nothing like that if anyone's seen it. So what it's like is the two guys, so Alan Tudyk and his buddy are kind of hick farmer guys, but then there's a group of, I forget, college kids or something who are kind of in their separate storyline, and it's these college kids are living out a horror movie, but it's all unintentional, right? So the people they think are the killers are Tucker and Dale, right? These two guys who are just doing things, and just so it's lining up such that these college kids are essentially in a horror movie, but it's all just kind of by accident. And Alan Tudyk is hilarious.
Just two guys.
It's just these two guys, but it gets gruesome and it's hilarious, and actually a really funny movie. I had a friend of mine recommend it to me. I had never heard of it. Watched it a couple of years ago. It's exquisite. You have to watch it. It's one of those movies where it's just kind of It just clicks. It hits all the right notes. It's like really well paced. The actors are fantastic, including Alan Tudyk in this one. That is a great pull, Augie. I forgot about that one. Wow.
I got to be honest. When we started the show tonight, I did not think we were going to spend so much time talking about Alan Tudyk.
Another thing about Alan, while we're on the subject. I know. You know what's funny? I did. I was like, God, I'm really excited to talk about Alan Tudyk tonight. I had all my cue cards over here.
It's not really funny. Actually, I heard he has MS.
He's got monkey scrotums and he hasn't been talking. But see, that's the thing about Alan Tudyk, right? He's just one of these guys where he's not going to be humble bragging about his monkey scrotums. He's not that type of guy. It's like one of these things you'll read about in the newspapers, like, oh my God, he's got, must watch for Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I completely agree.
Guy's walking around with monkey scrotums and he's bragging about it.
Right. But I completely agree, Augie. Like, it's a really good, funny, well done movie. Way better than anything I was anticipating. Just fun. Now I kind of feel like watching it. I haven't seen it in a while. Like, really good one.
So yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, Mandalorian, I think, is a good one to end on. Did you watch any of the? Maybe I'll bring this up before we go. And we are going to try, by the way, if anyone is not aware, Tyler and I. So the Book of Boba Fett, we believe, comes out at 3 a.m. Eastern time for us. We're on the East Coast, which is about 4.5 hours from now. We are going to try and go live as soon as it's over and talk about it. It's going to be rough. It's literally in the middle of the night for us, but we're going to get up, watch it, and go live. We're going to try to be one of the first reaction channels out there.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you're an insomniac or you work third shift or something, and you're awake, we're going to be live like at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, talking Book of Boba Fett. And we're going to try to do this for the season, which I think is 7 episodes. So,
but one has already happened, so it's only really 6 more times that we got to try to do it. And it's actually a good point that we shouldn't keep this thing going and drink too many more beers because we have to be up in a few hours to watch the Book of Boba Fett.
I'm going to try to power nap before I get up and watch it. Yeah,
me too. I'm going to try my best to go to bed like right after this, get a few hours of sleep, wake up, we'll watch the Book of Boba Fett, we'll have a reaction. Maybe try to get a few more hours of sleep if I can. Depends on how long we go, how that works. And then it's getting up with the baby, getting to work. Getting in that lab, science and the shit out of stuff.
Getting to work. That's right.
Getting on
it. So yeah, if you're an insomniac or whatever, when you wake up, wherever you are, wherever you're watching this from, we will have our initial reaction out there. Yeah. So, and obviously how long we talk will depend on how epic the episode is. So it's episode 2. Probably more setup. Maybe they'll give us a little cameo, a little something to get us talking.
A little more of a taste.
Because we talked about episode 1, and I think it was slightly more controversial. Because I think Mandalorian had 90% Rotten Tomatoes, and this was 60 or 70%.
Yeah,
because it was pretty short, and there's a couple of scenes.
And you think about the first episode of Mandalorian, it's not like that was super fast or a ton happened, but what happened in the end? Just in the end of the first episode, he sees what we would have called at that time a baby Yoda that he touched.
Broke, and it's like the internet.
Boom! Right. And so it's like in this one, I think people were expecting a big moment. Everyone's been so excited. I've been pumped for this one. So just like you said a few minutes ago, it's like you weigh things against your expectations. My expectations were probably a bit too high.
I think everyone's were.
Yeah. And so I think everyone's were. And so we found it a bit underwhelming, but I'm not broken on this show. I'm super excited for it. Right. We're 1 episode in. Again, think of how much could happen over the next 6 episodes that could blow us away. So I thought, it was a little slow, but man, who knows what could happen. Love the character. Love what they're, the whole idea of this show. So I'm really hoping that, things are going to start exploding in the next few episodes.
I hope so too. And I think you're absolutely right. We're comparing it to the Mandalorian season 1 or episode 1, where it's again, it's okay,
we're just
there's the cool scene in the cantina and he's the Mandalorian. You're okay, he's a bounty hunter. You're learning about him. And then he's in this Western shootout to get this loot. And you're kind of just watching going, okay, the IG unit is pretty cool. But you're what's going on? And then you get in there and then the package. And then you find out it's a Yoda. It's a baby Yoda. You can't.
Yep.
I can't say the species name because we still don't know what they're called.
Right?
And so obviously he's called Baby Yoda. He breaks the internet, and so like in Boba Fett, we get the Sarlacc escape, but
that was great though.
Which
I
was
actually
cool
thought
to
they
see.
did it really well. Yeah.
And as we said, Patton Oswalt, of course, called it, right? Do I have that? Yeah.
I stand here and refuse to yield my time. You are prohibited from voting on the bill. Let the filibustering begin. As many of you have noted that use the internet, it has been announced that Disney has required the rights to the Star Wars franchise, and in the summer of 2015, we will see the release
as many of you
Star
that use
Wars,
the internet.
Episode 7. Herewith is my proposal for the plot of that movie. Pan down from the twin suns of Tatooine, we are now close on the mouth of the Sarlacc pit. After a beat, the gloved Mandalorian armor gauntlet of Boba Fett grabs onto the sand outside the Sarlacc pit, and the feared bounty hunter pulls himself from the maw of the sand beast.
Okay, this is exactly...
And we realize that he survived his fall during the battle at Jabba's palace ship.
I love how Leslie... She's trying to interrupt him. And he's like, please. Let me go. Well, what a better place to end it than on Patton Oswalt's prediction that came true all these years later. What an amazing thing.
And also just, I'm going to bring this up here. As Templar said to the roast. So Tyler and I started some new thing, a new type of content where we are going back through our favorite sci-fi and fantasy movies and roasting them, to where we essentially just get drunk and watch our favorite movies, and we try to just have fun tearing apart the holes and
joking
around about the weird things in the movie. We have done episode 1, Star Wars, The Phantom Menace. That's the first one we did. It's on the channel. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. We had a blast making it. And let us know if it looks like we're getting progressively more intoxicated throughout the movie, because we definitely
were. But we're really excited because that was just our first attempt. We already have a bunch of ideas on how we're going to make them even better going forward. But it's one thing we want to keep getting better at and doing more of, because we had a blast. Like, that was a lot of fun. So yeah, we're definitely gonna be doing more. And let us know too what you think, especially, Templar, our other, patrons and stuff. Let us know what movies you want to see us do, because we want to start having some in the back burner, and we really want to start planning some, because right now we just kind of wanted to do a few. It don't need to be movies that could have been out forever. We don't care, because we're just trying to get used to it, see how we want to do it, see what we want to fix and stuff. But then we want to start doing movies like as they come out, like right away. So let us know some things you see on the horizon, some that you would want us to see, some old movies you'd want us to see us do, and we'll get drunk and watch them.
we don't get drunk and watch them.
It was fun. It was
fun.
Drunk
and watch them.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, with that, we're out of here. Thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out with us tonight. We definitely appreciate it. And hey, we'll see you all in like 5 hours.
Couple hours.
For our Book of Boba Fett episode 2 reaction. All right. See ya.